Over the last 6 to 8 months, a significant increase in the misinformation, lies, and fake narratives can be seen that belittle India's achievements, falsely accuse, or make baseless claims against the Indian government and Modi ji.
I think if you sat Modi ji down next to God, Modi ji would start explaining to God how the universe works.
When you do a background check on these organizations, they turn out to be contentious, funded by terrorist organizations or by the vulture George Soros, who made profits from the misery and plight of India and other nations. 2024 general elections is just a few months away, and this time they're coming up with a grand plan to derail India from the path of progress and development. The list goes so long, and as usual, I request your utmost attention till the end of the video. These are numbers, dates, connecting dots and events. No matter how good BGM I put on and how good editing I do, it'll be boring. But please don't skip in the middle. Ant tak zarur dekhiye. Let's get into the facts. Reporters Without Borders comes out with a global ranking of press freedom every year. In their May 2023 report, India's position slips down to 161, with countries like Pakistan and Afghanistan ranked above India. These are world's top reporters, shamelessly faltering India's press freedom index. A targeted disinformation campaign to destabilize India's growing relationship is being conducted, which is primarily funded by UN classified terrorist organizations such as Muslim Brotherhood. Turkish Radio and Television Corporation has been airing biased coverage of India and spreading misinformation about our country. On top of this, fake social media accounts are being used as the modus operandi to mislead the people and sour relations between Arab world and India. A cartoon published in the German newspaper Der Spiegel about India overtaking China as the world's most populous country. Look at this. An overcrowded Indian Railways train with passengers hanging on from the sides and atop it, overtaking a sleek Chinese train running on a parallel track. In another case, Indian goddess Ma Kali was caricatured on a propaganda poster and shared by Ukraine's defense ministry. Ukraine, all the Zelensky fans, clear your doubts. The GenSec of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation issued a statement that expressed deep concern at acts of violence and vandalism targeting Muslim community. The OIC has been a history sheeter when it comes to pushing propaganda, indicating a false narrative of raising Islamophobia in India. The Western and European media upped their attack against India as Modi ji gave a definitive statement calling for an era of peace.
Somewhere Europe has to grow out of the mindset that Europe's problems are the world's problems, but the world's problems are not Europe's problems.
India was blamed for not siding with the countries opposing Russia. These shameless European countries, while supporting Ukraine, kept purchasing oil from their enemy Russia, bypassing the sanctions they had themselves imposed, but they have a problem when India purchased oil from Russia. The Western media went as far as to say India funding Russian aggression just because we purchased oil from Russia. Needless to say, the purchase of Russian oil by European countries was exponentially larger than that of India.
Tell me if buying Russian gas is not funding the war? Why is it's only Indian money and oil coming to India which funds, but it's not gas coming to Europe which funds? Look, somewhere, let's be a little even-handed out here. And even this, look, the whole narrative that it's gone up 9 times. If countries in Europe and the West and the United States are so concerned, why don't they allow Iranian oil to come into the market? Why don't they allow Venezuelan oil to come into the market? They've squeezed every other source of oil we have. And then say, okay guys, you must not go into the market and get the best deal for your people. I don't think that's a very fair approach.
Look at how the Western media spins the narrative with zero facts. Freedom House, a US government-funded think tank, in its 2023 report, Freedom in the World, has said that the political rights of Indian Muslims continue to be threatened. The same index marked United States as a free country, but India as partially free. That is in a way true also. We'll be free when we get liberated from Congress. That's a different story. Another state-sponsored body, the US Commission on International Religious Freedom, came out with its annual report that recommended to the US government that India should be designated as country of particular concern. The report went on to recommend that issues regarding minorities should be raised in bilateral discussions and spoke in great detail about the atrocities against Muslims. The report highlighted a few legislations like the UAPA and the FCRA and went as far as to say that policy initiatives like banning cow slaughter negatively impact Indian minorities. The important question that arises here is, how can the reports completely lack in positive points like abolition of triple talaq, the allocation of minorities under all central schemes, and scholarships to youth? It is through FCRA that India managed to identify dubious sources of foreign funding for many NGOs like Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International. They refused to reveal their sources of funding. Modi ji banned them. 20,000 such NGOs' FCRA licenses were cancelled as soon as Modi ji came into power. But these organizations and their anti-India agendas are now out in the open. They'll be hosting a grand screening of the fake BBC documentary in the USA ahead of PM Modi's visit. Understand to what level the entire world has gone to destroy India. Anti-India graffiti was painted by Khalistani extremists on Ram Mandir in Mississauga, Canada. The walls of the temple were painted with pro-Khalistani slogans and anti-India graffiti. In January, a Hindu temple in Brampton, Canada, was defected with hate-filled messages directed towards India, causing an outrage among the Indian community. In September, the BAPS Swaminarayan Mandir, Toronto, was defected by Canadian Khalistani extremists. Similarly, this year, several attacks were carried out on Hindu temples and Indians in Leicester, United Kingdom. A violent mob first surrounded the temple and then went on to vandalize it and abuse the Indians around the area. Most of the mobs were directly associated with Islamic and Muslim organizations in the area and has been instigated by feeding them lies about the RSS. Sometime later, Khalistani activists attacked and vandalized the Indian High Commission in London. They removed and disrespected the Indian flag. George Soros, the culprit behind destabilizing governments in Hungary, Israel, the UK, and many other Central European nations, wanted a regime change in India. My whole channel and work has been exposing this monster. Please watch my old videos to understand how he funds organizations to destroy governments in many countries. That's why many countries banned his Open Society Foundation. The New York Times, infamous for its anti-India opinions, accused Modi government of imposing vegetarianism in India in an article on how to make egg curry. From finding flaws in the government schemes to writing lopsided articles that only showcase one part of the story, these media houses have left no stone unturned in their attempt to paint an authoritarian, biased and false image of India. So with this work of anti-nationals both within and outside the country, we now have a significant amount of people fashionably insulting BJP, Modi ji and ridiculing Indian culture. I know I will attract a lot of trollers for this, but it's very important to tell you the remarkable transformations made by Modi government in these 9 years since 2014. We are the world's 5th largest economy. India is successfully running the world's largest vaccination drive. Our startup ecosystem has become the world's 3rd largest. 46% of the world's digital payments are made in India. We have 100% rural sanction coverage. We bank the unbanked. This is just a tip of the iceberg. How can the anti-nationals digest these developments, you tell me? So they appear to be mobilizing for what they can only be called a final assault to destabilize India. I want you to very carefully understand the plan this cabal seems to be hatching appears to be targeted at maligning the Prime Minister's image, which in turn will lead to a fragmented country that will almost certainly return to the pre-2024 era of policy paralysis. Rahul Gandhi spewed enough venom against India. In both the visits, Rahul Gandhi spoke in great detail about the oppression of minorities in India, but as always, conveniently forgot to mention how his family and his party had sponsored corruption, championed oppression, and had cracked down against freedom of speech for the last 70 years. Just days after Rahul Gandhi returned to India, Jack Dorsey started spewing venom against India. Thanks to Elon Musk for slippering Jack Dorsey. These open allegations against the government and attempts to malign PM Modi right before his visit to the US are ample proof to show that the forces against India are coming together. So what do I do now? Note these points. Verify the forwarded messages if it contains data demeaning the progress, development and unity of India. If you get to read any foreign articles maligning the reputation of India, report them. Send it to right-wing influencers to make a counter-attack video on it. We've got enough people now. Strictly don't circulate these short video clips you get to see in WhatsApp which talk against the country. Congress invested crores of money on social media. Dhruv and nonsense. If you get to see anything, immediately dislike and report abuse. It's not entertainment. The legal systems and judiciary must take firm and decisive stand against the anti-national forces. Please watch my channel. I have put up a whole list of anti-national media portals and influencers. You must know them, you must understand them, and inform your friends not to follow them. Above all, don't be scared. Being in your home, getting scared of some outsider, better to die. Don't think there is enough police and legal system to handle the street fights. When I scrolled on Twitter, full of love jihad cases. Everybody is tagging UP police, Delhi police, Rajasthan police, Tamil Nadu. Come on. Do you think we have enough staff to fight the 0.5 front war? That's why Modi ji introduced Agnipath scheme. That also you protested. Now we see rampant murder and rape cases all over the country, attacking Hindus everywhere. But the reports say Muslim lives matter, as if Muslims are under threat. The videos that come out into public are only few. How many unreported? Who will protect your family and friends? Police? Bajrang Dal? They are anyway doing their job, but they are not enough. Can you ensure me that when it comes to India, no external force should even think of attempting to harm or demean us? Can you? Please comment Congress Mukt Bharat. Just a moment before we close, we are fighting an army of fake media portals dedicated to destroying India, and they need not worry about funds because they are associated with a lot of terrorist organizations which has millions of different ways to mint money through all sorts of scams. I don't know any of such sources. The only way I know is your support. Please encourage me by paying generously so that I can sustain this mission of spreading right information. Namaskar.